Hey people, welcome to another exciting episode of the Wivesroundtable show. This is the show for the Nigerian and the African woman. My name is Amaka Chibuzo-Obi and I'm your host on this beautiful program. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at a subject that I know is overdue for conversation. We're going to be looking at parenting in the digital age. You'll agree with me that parenting today is a very far cry from parenting when we were growing up as kids. Things have changed with technology advancement and so many other changes in the world. Parenting is no longer what it used to be. So, how do parents ensure that they continue being good parents in spite of the changes in the world? How do you parent in this digital age? What should parents look out for in today's society to ensure that they are raising children that are full of good values and morals? These and so many other things we're going to be discussing today on the show. So you cannot afford to miss today's episode. Stick around because right after this quick break, Wives Roundtable will be returning in full swing to kick off the show. Welcome back. You're still on the Wives Roundtable show. My name is Amaka Chibuzo-Obi, and joining me on the show today is my friend, my big brother, my counselor, my coach, the one and only Clement Okafor. Bros, welcome to the Wives Roundtable show.
Thank you very much.
The way I hyped you now, you don't need documents to go out of Nigeria anymore. I've finished the hyping.
Good to be with you, Amaka.
It's always such a pleasure having you on the show because you come with so much knowledge and experience. And of course, in family life industry, you're a force to reckon with. So it's always such a pleasure having you on the show. Today we're discussing parenting, and this is a very crucial topic, especially because of how the world is today. We go on the internet and you see things, you see kids doing some certain things, and the first question everybody asks is, where are their parents? Let's even forget children. You see adults act in some way and you ask, were they trained? Who are their parents? And things like that. And so when a society is good, the parents are applauded. When a society is bad, the parents are questioned. So it all comes down to parenting. Exactly. And this is why I really want us to talk about this today. Parenting has changed. The world has changed. How things were when I was growing up is no longer how it used to be. I mean, when we're growing up, there's some certain things that you just couldn't do because you didn't have access to doing those things, right? But today, everything is at fingertips because the world has closed up because of the internet. Parenting is no longer business as usual. So first of all, let me ask you, do you share my sentiments? Do you think that parenting has changed or parenting should change from what it was in the dark ages when we were raised, or is it basically the same thing?
Honestly, Amaka, I agree with you 200%, not 100%.
That's how much you agree.
200%. It has changed, and we have to accept that reality that parenting has changed. Yeah. We're in a digital age. We grew up in an analog age, but now the children we have now, they are digital children, and absolutely. Parents have to understand that. They just have to understand. Let's not live in denial. It can't be business at all. It can't be business as usual. You can't use analog idea to begin to train digital children. It won't work. It's like putting a square peg in a round. It won't work. Hole. Yeah, so absolutely. We have to accept that fact.
Okay, so first of all, what should parents today look out for? Because we're talking about people who grew up. People who are still parenting today are basically people who were born in the 70s and 80s and maybe the early 90s. Those are people still parenting today. Because people born in the 60s, most of them have kids who are, grown. The parenting now is not that kind. Yeah. Or they've done all the parenting that they should do. When they were supposed to.
They're on retirement now.
So we're talking about people who grew up in the 70s, who were born in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s. When the world was still kind of dark, right? So what should we, because myself, I fall in that category, what should we begin to pay attention to? in this parenting. When we're growing up, our parents just paid attention to how many are you people? Which school should I put you? That was basically, have you had food to eat? I think that was the bulk of their headache. But now, what are some of the things that parents should pay attention to?
Well, let me start first of all by saying that there are, I don't want to call it assumption, but I think there are 5 or 6 things that parents should bear in mind. First of all, you have to bear in mind that we're in a digital world today. Digital in the sense that we're in the time of technology, social media, hypes and all that. 2, we're in the period of information. This is information period. When we were growing up, you want to get certain information, you have to go to the library,
newspaper.
You have to go to newspaper, you have to read magazine, you have to read out to get information. But now information is at the tip of your finger.
Fingers.
Just have your phone, you press, what's your name? Google. It tells you everything. Those days there was nothing like Google.
Absolutely.
Then 3, you have to also understand that you are dealing with intelligent, smart children. A different breed of children. You have to really, really understand that. Then you have to understand that you must be very, very intentional and deliberate in your parenting style. Deliberate, and in anything you want to do, you must be deliberate and you must be stern in doing it, because children of nowadays, they are full of information that if you are not careful, your children will knock you off balance.
That's true.
Because my son, if I have to argue with my son, I have to be armed. He's 16 years. I have to be well armed to be able to argue with him. I have to be with facts and figures to be able to argue with him, because he tells me everything. So I need to be ahead. So parents have to bear all these things in mind, first of all, in this time. Because if you don't have all these things in mind, you'll be confused how to parent. If you don't know that children are exposed to information, and your child comes with an information and they ask you one question or the other, you are just looking. You understand? Or these days they use phone, you want to know what they are doing with their phones, and you don't even know how to even check. You don't even have WhatsApp. You don't even know how you want to call somebody. Somebody will come and type names for you. You lose out. You lose out because they will mess you up. Exactly.
They will confuse you.
And then you also have to, constantly read and search out information. Because that's the only way you can answer their questions. That's the only way you can be ahead of them. If you are a parent, you don't read, you don't go for seminar, you don't go for all those things, then what kind of parenting do you want to do? Or you want to do the type they did for us? Sit down, stand up, move, this, and then.
I was coming there. You know, when you talked about you arguing with your 16-year-old son, and I just thought in my head how it would have been me standing to argue with my father, or how it would have been for you growing up. Your father says something and you say, "Oh no, daddy, I don't." You won't complete the sentence. You won't really complete the sentence before you receive it. Yeah. So kids these days, they question everything. Yeah. The rate of curiosity is high. And I saw somewhere on the internet where a guy was saying that his son has always wanted to be an astronaut. And they had a career day in school, and a mechanic came to school to talk about his industry and his profession, and how fantastic it is to be a mechanic. And the son said, "Oh, daddy, I'm no longer going to be an astronaut. I want to be a mechanic." And the father says, "Oh no, you can't be a mechanic. There are no mechanics in our family." And the son said, "Please, which of my uncles or aunties is an astronaut?"
Intelligence.
That rate of intelligence we didn't have, or maybe we didn't have the opportunity to show. Because we were not raised to question things. Once you want to do that, it's seen as disrespect and you're shut down. Is that a good way to raise the children of this day?
No, it's not. It's not, Amaka. It's not a good way to raise children of nowadays, because everything about parenting is about the child. It's not about the parents. You have made your own.
I love that. Everything about parenting is about the child and not about the parent. On that note, let's go for a quick break, because when we come back, I want you to expatiate on that. That's what we say, Rema. That's like a Rema moment right there. Because honestly, when we parent, we usually think it's about us. How do I want to parent this child? What's my dream of how parenting should be, or what's my opinion of how parenting should be? But this thing you said is something that we need to go and drink water and swallow very well. Parenting should be about the child and not about the parent. We'll be right back after this. Swallow this, digest it, because right after this break, Clement would explain to us what that means and how that can serve us in our parenting journey. Welcome back. You're still on the Wivesroundtable show, and I still have with me Clement. We're still discussing parenting in the digital age. There was a very crucial statement that Clement made before we went on the break. He said parenting is all about the child and not the parents. So please explain.
Yeah, thank you, Amaka. What I mean by that is every child is unique. You have come to fulfill your own purpose and destiny. Your parents have come to fulfill their own purpose and their own destiny. What is there is that your parents are supposed to help you align to your own destiny so you can fulfill your own purpose and destiny. But the mistake most of our parents make is that they want to project themselves
onto the child.
So what they've not been able to achieve, they want their child to achieve it, forgetting that this child has come differently and they have come differently. That explains why maybe your dad wanted to be an accountant and he couldn't become an accountant.
Then
he now sees one of his child that is good with calculation and don't say you must be an accountant. So he begins to do everything to make you study accounting, not minding whether you are good with calculation or whether you are the type that is good with literature, who can read. It doesn't take those things into cognizance. All he wants is that you must be an accountant. But maybe God has destined you to be an engineer.
What parents say in this case is they usually say, but the parent knows what's best for the child. That's usually the
But you have just said it's a mistake that they make. Because not all parents know what is best for their child. If you know what is best for me, you will help me to walk along my own destiny.
That's true.
Do you understand? When you see a child who he takes these glasses, he scatters the glass, he puts the glass together exactly the same way, you know that this child, you don't make him go and read accounting. You know that he's good technically. Encourage him on the line of technical studies, engineering and all that. But because parents their minds are made up, I want you to be an accountant. He doesn't care whether you have other gift or skills. So that's the mistake they make. They always say, yes, good. Every parent, yes, they always think best. Let me put it that way, because I tell my children, yes, I have good intentions. Everything I do, I do it out of love. But sometimes in trying to do those things, sometimes we too, we make our mistakes. Absolutely. And it is important that when we make mistakes, we also acknowledge the fact that we have made mistakes. A lot of us apply wrong parenting style. Yes, you want to achieve something, but sometimes the route to achieving that thing might not be the actual route that you follow. Because sometimes when we make those mistakes, those things also affect the child. It affects the child. You want to model something. If you don't model it the wrong way, you might end up not achieving what you want to achieve, and you might end up destroying even the life of that child. So so that's why I said it is all about the child. What this child, as I look at this child, there's what we call perceptual code. You begin to perceive, what will this child be? You have a child who talks, he argues and all that. You begin to think that this child might just be a good lawyer. He might be a good PR. Those kind of, it might be somebody that will act.
A broadcaster.
And all that. But sometimes our parents say, yeah, you talkative. Go and sit down, you talk too much.
Sir. I experienced
but there's a positive thing in what that child is doing. But the parent or the mother or father, they are not seeing it from that angle. So they only see that he talks. Or a child that plays football. And you see him when he handles football. The next thing is always playful. Very, very playful. He's always playing. Today, we know people that have end their lives and they are controlling nations.
Change the lives of their entire family.
Yes, because of that. You understand? These are perceptual codes that you must notice about your child. If you see a child who reads all the time, is always reading, it's either you think that this child will make a good lawyer or somebody in the science line, maybe in the medical line, because they read a lot. You encourage the child along the line of the code the child gift, the code that you are seeing in that child. That's why I say it's about the child and not about the parents.
Now let's talk about the vices we see in today's society. You're a marriage counselor. You also help teenagers, right? and I know your ears are full.
More than full.
Things you've heard, things you've seen. There's so many vices today that teenagers are involving themselves in. Where are parents getting it wrong? That's what I really want us to talk about. When you see, like I said earlier on when we're starting off the show, I said that, when a society is good, they say, the parents did their work. Yeah. When a society is terrible, they say, what happened? Where are the parents? So it all boils down to parenting. So when you see these things happen and kids and young adults and teenagers just go haywire, what do you think the problem is as regards to parenting?
Yes. Let's establish first of all that it's a parental, I don't know whether to say parental or parenting, whichever way we want to put it, is the problem that starts with parenting. The biblical saying that says, train up a child in the way he should grow. When he grows up, he will not depart from it. And I'm one of those people. When a child goes wrong, sometimes not in all cases, we say, where the first question they ask, who are the parents? They refer to the parents. And when the child behaves, he has good parents. He's good. He behaved very, very well. The thing is that Amaka, let's face the reality. A lot of parents are failing in their responsibilities to their children. One, there is so much pursuit about money. Parents want to, let them make money, let them send the child to the best school, let them give the child the best education, the best child. They are busy trying to make a living, trying to make money to train the child without necessarily coming down, training the child. I know of parents who spend so much money carrying children on holiday. They go on vacation, they spend so much money, but they don't even have time to sit down with these children and talk. I mean, during the break, somebody was talking about your child asking you questions. Mm-hmm. If you create time for your child to ask you questions, at least the child will ask, you will clarify, give clarifications. If they are confused over something, you will take time and explain to them. If you said a particular thing or you took a particular action and is not favorable to the child is not having it easy, you have to explain to the child why you did what you did. Because the child must understand. If I punish my child, my boy sometimes, I will call him and tell him, look, I am doing it out of love.
I did this.
If I don't correct you and you grow up with this thing, a time will come when you feel that I didn't do you. I failed you. Because if you had corrected me when I did it, I would have taken correct. It wouldn't have been that way.
Absolutely.
So sometimes when you take those actions, let them know that you are doing it for their own interest. But where you don't even have time to sit with your child, where would the child express his or her feeling?
Because
do you
the
understand?
truth is, you not being there does not stop the curiosity. They still have those questions.
They will go and ask somebody else.
Absolutely. So it's just a question of who are they going to ask the question, because that question they must ask it, and the answer must come one way or the other.
So that's the so parents don't have time for their children. Then communication. They don't communicate effectively. Just like we said, sometimes when we're growing up, your father will abuse the hell out of you. Stupid boy, you are this. It's not because he's saying that you are stupid, though. He's just saying it out of annoyance.
That was just their way of expressing themselves.
But that thing was wrong. Because terrible, a lot of children's lives have been destroyed. Ruined. Because when their parents call them such names, they actually think that they say, so as good as I am, I'm a stupid child.
They own it.
Good for nothing child. The child will not, so as good and brilliant as I am, I'm a good for nothing child. It affects, many of them have been affected. I've had people, grown-ups, saying that it was the things that my parents told me that made me, to begin to act negatively. If I could respect my parents, I love them, and all I hear every day is the Omoale. Like the Yorubas, they call Omoale means bastard. Your own father is calling you a bastard, or he's calling you a Lori Buruku, and all those kind of names, and you know the meaning of those things, and I can't even imagine myself calling my children. Some of them
just feel like, oh well, it's one of those things. No, it's just I'm just talking, but they don't really know the depth of it.
Of those things.
Yeah.
That's why parenting is beginning to change, because right now we see that what constitutes stress for the children of nowadays is not the same thing as what constituted stress when we were growing up. Do you understand? Absolutely. Right now, a child asks you for something and you don't have it. Oh, I'm stressed. because I wanted iPhone and they can't buy me iPhone. I want a Samsung. Oh, my parents can't even buy me Samsung. Oh, I'm stressed. And when they are telling you that they are stressed. Some of them go into depression.
Different
they go into depression simply because they couldn't get an iPhone. Or I want to go for a party and you say no. And the child doesn't just understand why I want to go to a party and my daddy is saying no. So those are things that cause stress for them. In our days,
it wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that. So we need to understand that this is the digital age that we are talking of. You have to put all those things into consideration and communicate well with the child. Because once there's effective communication, there's an information, there's a way you pass information, there's also a way you get feedback. So it's not about talking, you must get feedback also from the child. So those are part of the things that, that we need to talk about in this parenting digital age, because they are all important, in training up a child.
Thank you so very much, Clement. I don't know, whenever you come on the show, we usually don't have enough time for you to say everything that you want to say. But, I'm just so glad that we even have the little time that we have with you, because I've gained quite some knowledge from this conversation today. So guys, if you like to have more, yes, you can join our community on Instagram. We're going to have to invite Clement to come and talk to us more about parenting, because I know that you want to be an exceptional parent. You want to raise a child that will make you proud and keep the world safe. Because honestly, your child is not just for you. He or she is also for the world, to make the world a better place. So join our community so that you will know when we'll have a live session to discuss parenting in the digital age. So guys, this is it on today's edition of the Wivesroundtable show. Don't forget that we'll be here same time, same station next week. So please don't forget to make it a date with us. My name is Amaka Chibuzo-Obi, and until I come your way next week, love everyone around you, but most importantly, love yourself, because you can't give what you don't have. Take care, friends. Bye-bye for now.